The fantastic season of spring anime comes to a close, and damn was it such a good season. Spy X Family ended up being a masterpiece, and I really hope it gets renewed for a second season. Skeleton Knight in Another World blew me away with its engaging story and epic action scenes, and such an epic protagonist along with a killer soundtrack that will take anybody's workout to another level. Love After World Domination ended up being just as good as I was hoping it would be, and gave me so many good feels as I watched each engaging episode. Then Trapped in a Dating Sim came in and just blew me away with how unique of an isekai it ended up being. On top of all that, we also had Science Fell in Love second season, and they really outdid themselves there. What a finale episode that was. And even then, we had a late show that came in later on, and that was A Couple of Cuckoos. And this show just came out of nowhere and blew me away with how such of an amazing rom-com it was. We are so spoiled this year with all the great anime that have come out. And now we have the summer season here, and so many new shows and also a few returning fan favorites as well. Today I highlight 15 new summer anime that you need to watch this season. And if you could do me a favor that would help me and this growing channel out a ton, smack that like button, and so more people can find out what to watch and what to look forward to, and for the best anime of this season. So with that, let's jump right into this. First up on our list today, we have The Devil is a Part-Timer Season 2. And here is the synopsis of what was the first season. A demon lord seeks to conquer the world of Ant-Esla by fusing its 4 continents with the help of his demon generals Alciel, Lucifer, Malkoda, and Aldrich. After being confronted by the hero Amelia and her companions, Satan and Asiel escape the world of Ant-Esla through a gate to modern Tokyo, Japan. However, due to the lack of magic in the modern contemporary world, both Satan and Asiel change into forms representing what they would look like if they were human. In order to survive, Satan takes a part-time job in a fast food restaurant named McRonald's, which you might recognize as McDonald's, while Asiel serves as his houseman. One day Satan, who now goes by Sadamao, meets a girl who is actually Amelia in the form of Emiusa. The story then unfolds and explores the personalities of each of the characters and their moral values. More characters show up from Ant-Esla, and they too face the new world dilemmas, often done in a very comically way. Now, me being a Christian, you would think I would avoid an anime like this, but nothing about this show glorifies the devil in any way or anything like that. All it is, it's just an anime, and it's a good one at that. It's been several long years without another season, but to my surprise, we actually got a season 2. I actually really enjoyed the first season and how well the character development happened, and the comedy is pure gold in this show. I'm excited to see how this story continues. The Devil is a Part-Timer Season 2 begins on July 14th. Now, my friends, we have a true masterpiece to talk about. And that masterpiece is Rent a Girlfriend, and it's finally time for Season 2. If you haven't watched Season 1 yet, here is the synopsis. Kazuha Kinoshita is dumped by his girlfriend, Mami Naimi, after dating for about a month. He then decides to use an online dating app to rent a girlfriend, named Chizuru Mizuhara, a beautiful and attractive girl. However, because he thinks she was just not authentic enough, he decides to give her a low rating. When Chizuru berates him for that during their next meeting, he realizes that she is a lot meaner than he had expected. However, when Kazuha's grandmother is hospitalized, he brings Chizuru along, and his grandmother is shocked with how great she is, and the two really hit it off. As such, Kazuha continues renting Chizuru in order to keep up appearances with his family and friends, and to keep his grandma happy. But things get complicated and fun when they discover that the two are next door apartment neighbors and attend the same college. Later on, other girls from the rental girlfriend business also join in the mix to really mix things up. This is the anime of the season, guys and gals. When I first watched the first season of this one, I was blown away with how good it was. This is the ultimate rom-com that will make you feel every emotion, from laughing, crying, and just a damn good feel-good show. Chizuru is completely waifu material, and she alone will make you fall in love with this masterpiece anime. I can't wait to see what the second season has in for us. Rent a Girlfriend Season 2 begins on July 2nd. Now it's time for more nostalgia, guys and gals. Next up is Overlord, and it's time for Season 4. If for some reason you were living under a rock these past several years and never checked this show out, here is the basic synopsis. In the year 2126, a full-dive, massively multiplayer online role-playing game was released, standing out among all other full-dive games due to its unusually high ability for the player to interact with the game and the world itself. After an intense 12-year run, the game servers are about to be shut down and shut off. But one skeletal overlord character, named Mamonga, continues to play as the guild leader, maintaining their headquarters in the Great Tomb of Nazarick. In the minutes before the shutdown, he invites the remaining guild members. But of those, only one appears, and only for a short while before leaving. While saddened by this, he accepts the reality that his friends have their other lives to take care of, and decides to stay logged in until the servers shut down. When the shutdown time arrives, Mamonga finds that the game hasn't vanished. Instead, it appears as if Nazarick has been transported to another reality altogether, along with its various NPCs' gaming settings. Now, I will admit, I was late to finding this series. I was one of those people living under a rock for several years before checking this out, because on paper, it just looks like another standard isekai anime. But don't fall for that. Don't fall for that for a second. This anime is a masterpiece of an isekai anime, with amazing characters, great character development, fantastic and over-the-top anime action scenes, and if you've ever played an MMO, you will feel right at home as you watch this. Been a while since we've got another season, but I'm excited to see how the journey of Mamonga continues. Overlord Season 4 airs July 5th. Next up, we have another anime that has been around for quite a while, but it may have not been on some other people's radar. The anime I'm talking about here is It Wrong to Pick Up Girls in a Dungeon? And we have Season 4 coming real soon. If you need a refresher, the story follows the adventures of Belle Crenel, a 14-year-old rookie adventurer and sole member of the Hestia Familia. He looks up to Ace Wallenstein, a famous, attractive, and powerful swordswoman of the Loki Familia, and vows to become as strong as her, after following a chance encounter where she saves his life from a powerful monster. While Vice is an object of Belle's romantic affection, several other girls, deities, and mortals alike have similar feelings for him, most notably Hestia herself. I actually just finished the first 3 seasons of this show on High Dive, and I will say this show is fantastic. I thought this was going to be another basic fantasy, raunchy, fan service comedy that was just going to be some laughs with a beer on a Friday night. But boy was I wrong. Also, why you never judge an anime by its title. I was blown away by the direction this show takes. So many feelings I had when watching Black Clover for the first time revisited me with this anime, and it took me completely by surprise. Now, of course, there are some raunchy, sexy, lewd scenes in this anime, but this show actually tells a story, and a good story at that, of an underdog and his journey to become stronger. If you enjoyed Black Clover, or at least the first season of Black Clover, then you will really enjoy this show. I'm really excited to see where Season 4 takes us, and will Belle ever just settle down and get together with Hestia? Because that just needs to happen for my life to be complete. Is It Wrong to Try to Pick Up Girls in a Dungeon? Season 4 airs July 23rd. Now it's time to discuss a new anime coming this summer. Ku Yamuri seems like a typical middle school student on the surface, relatively good at studies and gets along with his classmates. He puts a lot of effort into maintaining this facade. One day, however, he decides to stop pretending and quit school, developing insomnia as a result of having no daytime outlet for his energy. When taking walks alone at night, he feels marginally better, as it helps him to just calm him down. Though he is aware that his inability to sleep should be considered a serious problem, on one such walk, Ku meets a weird girl, Nazuen Nanakusa, who diagnoses the cause of his sleeplessness. Despite making changes in his life, he is still holding himself back from experiencing true freedom, and what true freedom actually is. She says that he won't be able to sleep unless he is satisfied with how he spends his waking hours. When it appears that she has resolved his current worries, Nazuna invites him back to her apartment to share her futon. After a while, unaware that he is only pretending that he is unconscious, she leans over and bites his neck. What a weird synopsis this one is, but I'm very curious to watch this one. The art style looks very attractive to me, with a night and dark feeling to it that makes me feel right at home, with me being a night owl. And I can really appreciate the atmosphere this anime is providing, and the storyline just sounds very unique, and something that has never been done before. And that's why I had to highlight this one in the list. It's also very possible this could fall into a deep romance anime. We will just have to see. Call of the Night begins on July 8th. Next up, we have another returning show that many people never thought was going to get a second season. That anime is Classroom of the Elite. For those that never watched the first season, and there's probably many because the popularity of this one was just not as high as some others on this list, so that's understandable. The story follows the perspective of Kikataya Anakiya, a quiet and unassuming boy who is not good at making friends, and would rather just keep his distance. But he possesses unrivaled intelligence. He is a student of Class D, which is where the school dumps its inferior students to. After meeting Suzon Horikaya and Kikyo Kushidia, two other students in his class, the situation begins to change and he starts to get involved in many affairs. And his thought of ideal normal high school life begins to just get scattered. Being totally honest here, it's been 4 years since I watched Season 1 of Classroom of the Elite. And the first time I watched this show, I remember how good each episode was. I kept wanting to come back for more. This is not a predictable show, and it can take wild turns out of nowhere. This show is unlike your typical high school anime, so don't discount it because you think there's nothing new here, because you're dead wrong. I'm excited to see where the second season goes, because if I remember right, and I could be wrong, as I said before, it's been a while since I've watched this, Season 1 left us on a cliffhanger that many people were very disappointed with, especially since we never thought the show was going to return. All the characters in this are very likable, relatable, and interesting, and they all have interesting backstories to boot. For sure, check this one out if you haven't yet. Classroom of the Elite second season begins on July 4th. Next up, another new anime on the list, we have When Will Ayumu Make His Move? On a whim, first-year Ayumu Tanaka quits the kendo club to join the shogi club. Yurishi Yatomi, the president of the club and a master of shogi herself, is thrilled to finally have a playing partner. As Ayumu's upperclassman Yurishi volunteers to be his shogi mentor and student role model, too often, however, though, she finds herself blushing with embarrassment. Stone-faced and honest, Ayumu sees no issue with calling Yurishi cute. Although Ayumu likes her, he refrains from confessing and promises himself to first beat her in a game of shogi. Through school life and shogi games, the two students have many hilarious and heartwarming adventures. Ayumu enjoys every second with Yurishi, but he is still a long way from beating her in shogi. With the commitment he made to himself, will Ayumu ever get the chance to confess his feelings to Yurishi? Now, to start out here, for those of you that don't know, shogi is basically a Japanese chess game. I don't know really what to expect for this anime, but I do know anime that often revolve around board games and strategy games in general usually turn out to be very good shows, and usually are fun to watch. Also, could this be the underdog romance anime of this season? It's very possible that it could be. No idea what we're going to get with this one, but from the trailer, it looks like an amazing romance with an emphasis on shogi, which if you're like me, you enjoy playing chess, and you enjoy watching romance anime. So it kind of makes sense this will be a good anime for us. So we shall just see if it holds up. When Will Ayumu Make His Move premieres July 8th. Next up, we have an anime that I have been excited for ever since I saw the first trailer debut 6 months ago. A certain boy and girl in middle school became lovers, flirted with each other, disagreed on trivial things, became more frequently irritated with each other rather than excited. Seems pretty typical. And they ended up breaking up at graduation. And so the two of them, Mizuto Iroto and Yume Aya, wound up meeting each other in the most unexpected fashion. The former couple, mindful of their parents' feelings, decided on a siblings rule, where the one who becomes conscious of the other as the opposite sex loses. But when they encounter each other in the bathroom, commute to and from school together, along with the memories of their past and living under the same roof, just how do they disregard each other? Now, when I first read the title of this one, I immediately thought of the anime Domestic Girlfriend. And that anime is one of my favorite romance anime that I've ever watched. That one just does everything right in terms of a perfection of a romance story. From the trailer, this looks very similar in concept. And I just have a feeling this is going to be a remarkable rom-com, and I can't wait to watch this one. My Stepsister is My Ex-Girlfriend goes public July 6th. Next up, we have a harem in a fantasy world labyrinth. Struggling with life and society, high school student Michio Kaga wanders about the internet and lands on an odd website. The odd website featuring a number of questions and a point-based system that allows one to create skills and abilities for a character. Upon completing his character, Kaga was transported to a game-like fantasy world and reborn as a strong man who can claim idol-level girls. Thus begins the cheat and harem legend of a reborn man. To be completely honest on this one, I don't know what we're gonna get. I mainly put this on the list because any harem can just be a fun watch and cause some great laughs, and sometimes that's all you need to make you feel good, is a good harem with an interesting protagonist and some lewd scenes and some over-the-top action. I'm going into this anime with no expectations, and hopefully I get some laughs at the very least out of this. A harem in a fantasy world labyrinth goes live July 6th. Next up on the list of new anime, we have Vermeil in Gold. Alto, on the verge of failing the summoning magic class and having to repeat the year, stumbles upon a grimoire and draws a magic circle, summoning the sealed demon Vermeil and making her his familiar. She has been a feared devil since ancient times and possesses tremendous power to cause disasters. Nothing sounds like it can go wrong, right? Vermeil as a familiar necessitates magical energy on a daily basis, which she obtains from Alto via passionate kisses. Lilia, Alto's childhood friend, grows envious of their relationship, while the students are also taken aback by the unexpected familiar. The royal road fantasy of a magician on the edge of failure and an unhealthy devil sister begins. Very interesting synopsis, if I do say so myself, but this is one that I'm just not sure with. I'm going to go into this anime with no expectations, and I'm just going to see what we get. The premise sounds interesting, and the art style looks very attractive as well as the characters do as well. When watching the trailer, I feel as if this show could go several different ways and routes, and I'm curious to see the direction it takes. Vermeil in Gold goes public July 5th. Now we have another anime that I've been really looking forward to. Shu, a young man who owns and operates a small business in the area, leads a meager life due to his reckless spending. And then we have Kisara, a girl who visits Shu's office and home because she is constantly concerned about him. She works while attending high school in Vernon City, doing everything from clerical work to housework. Ayano, Shu's ex-girlfriend and a senior colleague at the corporation he had previously worked for, is also worried about him. Thus begins the slapstick romantic comedy of three people in a slightly unusual relationship that takes place on an artificial island in the Pacific Ocean. Now, this is an anime I've been excited for ever since I watched the trailer. On paper, this anime does not sound like anything special, but I love the fact it's an A1 production, as they have a great track record for anime in this genre that I have enjoyed greatly in my life. I also love how this anime is a mix of fantasy, slice of life, and the groundwork for an extravagant romance to grow throughout the series. Along with that, the voice actors and actresses also sound like they did an outstanding job on this. This is for sure one of the most hyped anime for this season, I believe, for this summer season. And if you enjoy other A1 productions, like Asterisk War, definitely check this out. We get the first episode of Engage Kiss on July 3rd. Next up, we have what could be a very fun show. 17 years ago, Takafumi's uncle fell into a coma, but now he's back like a man risen from his grave. Soon, Takafumi discovers two bizarre things. His uncle treasures video games, above all else, and the fact he was actually transported to another world as some heroic guardian. Now, not only does Takafumi have to room with an uncle who is literally magical, he has to also catch the guy up on 2 decades of history. Smartphones, high-speed internet, modern anime tropes, and the traumatic outcome of the 90s console war. This just sounds like a fun anime. I mean, what we're getting here just sounds so unique. Imagine yourself how you would feel if you woke up from a coma for 17 years. The world changes at such a fast pace that you would be completely confused and not even know where to begin. That alone would make for a great story on its own. But to add to this great concept, we also get the fact that the uncle was transported to another world while being in this coma. I also feel that we 90s babies are going to have a lot of really nostalgic memories as we watch this one. I'm really excited to see how this anime goes and if it can live up to the hype and potential that I feel this show has set up for itself. Uncle from Another World begins on July 6th. Next up on the list, we have the Yakuza's Guide to Babysitting. Toru Kurashima is the right-hand man of the Sakuragi crime family. For him, the job is a perfect excuse to let his violent instincts run wild, earning him the nickname the Demon of Sakurai. It seems like nothing will stand in the way of his vicious nature. But then one day, he receives an assignment like never before from his boss, babysitting his daughter. This is the heartwarming, or is it blood-curdling, story of a little girl and her Yakuza caretaker. Now, I will admit, this anime is a complete wild card. I'm highlighting this because on paper, this just sounds interesting. I mean, let's think about this for a moment. A member of Yakuza falls in the job of babysitting for his boss's daughter. This just sounds like an ironic story, and I'm here for it. This might be genius or it could be terrible, but at least it is unique and something that we haven't really seen in general at all. The closest to this would be Spy X Family from Spring 2022 anime, and we can all agree that turned out to be a masterpiece. The Yakuza's Guide to Babysitting begins on July 7th. Now, I understand this is a long list, guys, but we're almost done. Next, we have The Maid I Hired Recently is Mysterious. The beautiful maid Lilith has recently been hired to care for the whims of her employer's son, Yuri. However, Yuri's overzealous skepticism of her every action keeps him on edge as he suspects devious mischief being plotted behind his back. Despite his paranoia, Lilith grows fond of Yuri and often teases him as a way to further their bonding. This story revolves around the relationship between the cautious Yuri and his wonderfully charming Maid in this day-to-day oddball romantic comedy. Now, who does not love a good Maid romance anime? I mean, I don't know about you, but The Duke of Death and His Black Maid was an amazing anime and did everything right. Now, am I saying this show can compete with such a masterpiece? Of course not. But I am saying this does have the layout and potential storyline to be a fun, great watch. The Maid I hired recently is mysterious, begins in July, even though we don't have an exact date yet for release. Last up, guys and gals, we have Parallel World Pharmacy. After losing his little sister to an incurable disease, world-famous medical researcher Kanji Yakutani gave it his all to cure patients by dedicating his life to inventing new medicines. After working himself to death at the age of 31, the former pharmacist wakes up as a 10-year-old child whose body has been struck by lightning. He discovers that he has been reincarnated into a medieval world as Falma, a child of the respective Daemetics family. In a world where divine arts, magic granted through blessings from guardian deities exists, Falma realizes that his body is host to the guardian deity of medicine. The boy has been granted the mythical divine arts of creation and reduction, as well as the ability to instantly diagnose illnesses in people's bodies. I absolutely had to highlight this one on the list. Now, I will admit at first that I just didn't think much of this one, but the latest trailer we got absolutely hooked me. I am a huge fan of science and anime shows, and any show that can combine these two elements in a good way, in a way that works. This show has potential to be great in my eyes. Science fell in love, and also Dr. Stone is a perfect example of how science and anime can work as a masterpiece anime, and if they can do those two things and accomplish those tasks, it's a masterpiece. The recent trailer I watched for Parallel World Pharmacy absolutely hooked me when I saw how many science elements were put into this. On top of that, it also looks like a fantastic backstory and one that I feel could be a really good and deep watch. This I feel could be the hidden gem of the summer season. Parallel World Pharmacy begins on July 10th. Wow, guys, it's insane everything we have in store for us. I have no idea how I'm going to manage to watch all these shows, but I am so excited for every single one of these shows. Summer 2022 anime is really looking like a good time, guys. I'm so excited to dive into this season. Let me know in the comments what you guys are looking forward to the most for this next season. For me, it would have to be Rent-a-Girlfriend Season 2, and also My Stepsister is My Ex-Girlfriend. Engage Kiss as well is also high up on my list that I can't wait to check out. I hope you guys enjoyed this highlight reel of what to watch, and I hope you all have a fantastic summer. Subscribe if you haven't already, and we will see you all in the fall. Stay strong, and as always, guys, God bless.